When people think about infidelity, they often picture men as the ones who stray. But the truth is, women cheat too, and for very different, often emotional reasons. Behind every act of betrayal, there's usually a deeper story, one filled with unspoken pain, unmet needs, and silent resentment. In this video, we'll uncover the hidden thoughts and emotional triggers behind why women cheat, and what it really means beneath the surface. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and like to the channel, and hit the bell for more videos. Emotional neglect. Many women cheat not because they want a new partner, but because they've felt invisible for too long. When her emotional needs are ignored, she begins searching for connection elsewhere, not for passion, but for validation. Feeling unappreciated. When her effort goes unnoticed, the care, the support, the love she gives, she starts to feel like she doesn't matter. Cheating becomes less about attraction and more about finally feeling seen. Emotional loneliness in a relationship. A woman can sleep beside a man every night and still feel completely alone. It's not physical distance, it's emotional. When conversations stop and affection fades, she starts craving intimacy somewhere else, craving excitement and newness. Some women cheat not out of pain, but out of boredom. When routine replaces romance, she misses the spark, the thrill of being desired again. It's not always about sex, it's about feeling alive. Unresolved resentment. Years of small disappointments can build emotional walls. When she feels unheard, dismissed, or taken for granted, resentment quietly turns into emotional detachment, and eventually, disloyalty. Emotional validation from another man. When another man starts giving her the attention she's been craving, listening, complimenting, making her feel special, it awakens something she thought was gone. She doesn't plan to fall, but emotions take over logic. Lack of intimacy and affection. Intimacy isn't just physical, it's emotional touch, eye contact, connection. When a woman's emotional and physical intimacy needs aren't met, she starts to seek that warmth elsewhere. Feeling stuck or trapped. Some women cheat because they feel emotionally suffocated. When communication breaks down and there's no space to grow, she starts looking for freedom through someone else, a desire for revenge or equality. When a woman has been betrayed, hurt, or humiliated by her partner's actions, cheating can sometimes become a form of emotional retaliation. It's not right, but in her mind, it feels like reclaiming power. Loss of emotional connection. Love fades when two people stop investing emotionally. When she feels disconnected, she starts to crave a deeper bond, even if it's with someone new. Low self-worth. Sometimes infidelity isn't about dissatisfaction with the partner, it's about how she feels about herself. When a woman feels unworthy or undesirable, another man's attention temporarily fills that void. Emotional curiosity. Some women cheat because they wonder, what if? They're curious about what it would feel like to be with someone who understands them in a new way, even if it means risking everything. The desire to feel wanted again. When a relationship becomes emotionally cold, a woman may start missing the early days, the flirting, the compliments, the butterflies. Another man's attention becomes a reminder that she's still desirable. Unmet emotional growth. As women evolve emotionally, they crave a partner who grows with them. If her partner stays stagnant, she may begin connecting with someone who reflects the version of herself she's becoming. Escaping emotional pain. Cheating can sometimes be a way to avoid dealing with internal hurt, to numb the sadness or emptiness she feels within the relationship. It's not about attraction, it's about escape. Emotional abandonment during conflict. When every disagreement turns into silence, rejection, or emotional withdrawal, she begins to lose hope. Someone else's empathy can suddenly feel like the comfort she's been denied. Lack of passion or romance. Over time, the fire can fade, but if effort fades too, so does desire. When she feels the emotional and romantic spark dying, she may look for that energy, somewhere else. The need for emotional equality. She wants to feel equally valued, heard, and emotionally fulfilled. If she's constantly giving while her partner keeps taking, eventually she looks elsewhere to feel balanced again. Emotional disconnect. Turned physical cheating rarely starts physically. It begins emotionally, with conversations, confessions, and vulnerability, until one day, emotions cross a line, neither intended to. Unhealed emotional wounds from the past, sometimes. Infidelity is rooted in old pain, trauma, insecurity, or childhood neglect. When those wounds go unhealed, she unconsciously seeks validation in destructive ways. Emotional burnout from one-sided giving. When a woman gives endlessly, love, support, understanding, without receiving the same energy back, she becomes emotionally exhausted. Cheating can become a misguided attempt to refill the emptiness that's been draining her for years. The illusion of emotional rescue. Some women convince themselves that another man will save them from unhappiness. In truth, it's not the new man she wants. It's the feeling of being rescued from emotional neglect, lost identity in the relationship. When she feels like she's lost herself, her interests, her joy, her spark, she may seek someone who reminds her who she used to be. Cheating, in this case, isn't about leaving her partner, it's about finding herself. Validation of feminine power. As women age or go through changes, they sometimes crave proof that they're still attractive, desired, and powerful. Cheating becomes a subconscious way to test that belief, to feel wanted again. Emotional drift over time. Relationships can fade quietly. There's no fight, no betrayal, just distance. When she realizes she's emotionally drifting from her partner, she might seek a connection elsewhere to feel something again. Emotional reciprocity that feels missing. She craves emotional give and take, conversation, empathy, presence. When that disappears and another man offers it freely, she may mistake that connection for love. Seeking emotional novelty. Humans crave new emotional experiences. When a relationship becomes predictable, another person's interest can feel like an emotional reset, a hit of passion her daily routine no longer provides. Feeling misunderstood or misjudged. When her emotions are constantly dismissed, labeled too sensitive or dramatic, she starts to withhold her true feelings. Then, the first person who understands her becomes dangerously magnetic. Repressed desires. Coming to light. Sometimes she's been suppressing parts of herself for years. Her sensuality, her voice, her confidence, cheating in her mind, feels like liberation from those emotional restraints. The emotional domino effect. It often doesn't happen overnight. It starts with emotional disconnection. Then comes loneliness. Then curiosity. And finally, emotional attachment to someone new. By the time it turns physical, she's already left emotionally. The false sense of emotional safety. When another man listens deeply and gives her attention, she feels emotionally safe. What she doesn't realize is that this safety is temporary. It's built on fantasy, not foundation. Testing the relationship's strength. Sometimes cheating happens out of emotional confusion, as a subconscious test. She wants to see if her partner still cares, still fights for her, or even notices that something's wrong. Emotional projection. A woman might cheat not because of her partner's flaws, but because of her own unhealed insecurities. She projects her internal emptiness outward and thinks a new love will fix what's broken inside. The weight of unspoken needs. When she suppresses her desires, affection, attention, validation, those needs don't disappear. They build up quietly until one day, someone else unknowingly meets them, and the emotional line blurs. Searching for emotional closure. Sometimes cheating isn't about seeking love, but ending one chapter. It's her way, conscious or not, of closing an emotional door that's been open far too long. Conclusion. When a woman cheats, it's rarely just about lust. It's about loneliness, disconnection, and emotional hunger. Behind the betrayal is a deeper truth that somewhere along the line, her needs stopped being met and her heart stopped feeling safe. Cheating is never justified, but it's always a sign that something inside the relationship broke long before the act did. When women cheat, it's rarely spontaneous. It's emotional, layered with loneliness, loss, and longing. She's not always searching for another man. She's often searching for herself in the spaces where she stopped being seen, heard, or loved.